As we all know and have been talking about a lot on this channel, Windows 10 is coming to an end, and I talk a whole lot about Linux Mint. There are some other good Linux distributions out there that you can try. Today we are going to have a look at the new release of Zorin. Zorin OS 17.3 is available. Welcome back to Switch to Linux. If you like this type of content, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Leave us a like and a comment down below. And we are going to talk about Zorin OS very briefly today, and we are going to install and look at the initial setup of Zorin OS. You might have heard of Zorin OS many times. This is an Ubuntu-based distribution utilizing GNOME, or the light version has XFCE, and it is customized in such a way as to make it a very nice, flexible, and just a good distribution that works very well. It has Windows app support capabilities into it. That's something Linux Mint doesn't have, which I'm not a huge fan of installing that unless you absolutely need it. But I love the way Zorin does it, because it doesn't do it just to say, hey, we're going to install it, or hey, we're not. It gives you the option and a customized package to do that. Now, as far as Zorin OS, you can download it, and there is a Pro version which has more options, more themes, and more software bundled with it, and there is a free light option with Zorin as well. We do have this app that I'll talk about here. Zorin Connect allows you to sync your phone and your computer together. This is an application you can install on a number of other computers. KDE Connect is one of them. This one is modified for Zorin. It's probably the better of the various versions, allowing you to control various elements of your computer with your phone and your phone with your computer. So if you want to get down to download it, hit the download button, and there is the Pro version here. This one here is $47.99. It does contain, first and foremost, the cost does help support the project, and this is a good project. It also has several other layouts, including a traditional Mac, Windows 11, Chrome OS, and a few other options as well. The one that is for free, you have 4 different layout options, so depending what you want. We also have advanced productivity tools, a lot of extra professional software, and some extra technical support with that. There is the core version, which is free, and there's an education version, which is free. The education version has some educational software students, and the core is going to be what most people are interested in. So there is the light, as we said, over here. And let's see, Zorin OS Lite will continue to be available for 17 and 18 release series. It sounds like they might be removing that one down the road to focus just on making the other one just better as they go along. But you can see that overall they are starting to downplay the light version. Now let's get on to the latest release. There's just a few different changes, and then we'll go ahead and we will install the system, and then we will look at it as we wrap up the video. So the biggest major change we have here, actually I'm going to skip down to it. They have removed Firefox. We have done the videos about Firefox. They're adding the terms of use. They are opting people into sending data to advertising companies. They are doing things that, while still saying over here, we are about privacy, they're still giving all sorts of anonymized data to advertisers. And I'm sorry, most of us are like, you guys are shooting yourself in the foot. Stop doing that. Zorin OS is, to my knowledge, the first distribution that took a stand and said, enough. If you want to use Firefox, you can still install it, but they are not giving you a distribution with Firefox. They are removing that, and they have opted to go with Brave. So they say here, in light of Mozilla's recent policy changes, we no longer feel assured that Firefox aligns with our commitment to protect your privacy. This prompted us to revisit the choice of web browser, and when considering an alternative default browser, we set the following requirements as free and open source, general all-purpose full featured, including the ability to play streaming services and other DRM content, privacy respecting, popular and recognizable, mature and well-maintained, and for that reason, they went with Brave. There are a number of other options out there that people could have used. There's many other ones. Well, what about LibreWolf? What about Malvad browser? Those are good browsers, but they are not as well known. They're not as well populated, and they do not have as big of a team behind them. So I completely understand this choice, and I think it is a good one. Now, we'll get into it as we actually show you the browser. They have modified it, removing all of the, not removing it, just disabling all of the nonsense, like the bat and stuff like that. But you can still turn all that on. The other things that Zorin does that's really nice is they have detected over 150 Windows applications that people might use. And if you try to install one of those, it will remind you there is a native Linux version to that. So Obsidian is the example they use. I'm going to show you how this works with a FileZilla I downloaded for Windows. You go to install it, and it prompts you to use the Linux version of it instead, or gives you the option to install the Windows app support for it. So they have done a really good job at this. That's something that other Linux distributions have not done. And then the rest of the article here talks a whole lot more about Zorin Connect, syncing notifications, sharing files and photos, replying to calls and text messages directly with the computer. All that is capable with the system. So you can have a look at how all that works out. That is improvements for touchscreen devices as well. So if you have a touchscreen, it is a lot easier. That is what GNOME is really good for. It is a lot easier to work with a touchscreen with GNOME. And then everything else in here is just some basic security updates, better NVIDIA support, better increased apps, and it also does support Snap, Flatpak, and app images out of the box. That's something I didn't highlight in the install video, but there is, down to the bottom of the press release, I will give you this information here in the description of the video. Let's go ahead and install this and have a look at what it looks like. So on boot up, we can try or install, and we can run it with safe graphics as well, which would be all the open source and all of the stuff that should work. I did notice that the installation screen took quite a long time to show up on both VirtualBox and on GNOME boxes. All right, so get our installer booted up here. So you can either try it or you can install it. We are going to run through the installation here. Very simple installation. Just choose your keyboard layout. And then you can download updates to save time later. You can install third-party. Those are set up by default. They do want you to kind of participate in the census. Since I don't like taking part in such things, I will check that box personally. And their way of doing this, we covered how they're counting this. It is relatively safe, but I still am not interested in such things. Over here now, you can install it. So I already have Zorin installed on this virtual machine. You can install it alongside. So it does detect if there's another operating system. You can erase and install it, or you can do some manual configuration. So if you do the erase disk and install, this will wipe it out. Or if you want, you can do advanced features. You can do no advanced features. You can do LVM. You can encrypt the LVM, or you can do ZFS, and you can encrypt the ZFS as well. So we would do that. We hit install now. At this point in time, you're going to get your prompt up screen warning that once you're doing this, it's going to start writing the changes now. It is after it starts doing these steps here, just kind of to save some time. The next screen, you're going to enter in your location data there for your time zones, and then enter in your name and information like that for your user account. Let's just do Zorin. We'll give it a super secret password that's definitely not 123. Go ahead and hit enter, and you can see it is now installing the system. So we're not going to wait for this to install. In my instance, it took roughly 15-20 minutes to get everything installed. So we're going to jump over and see what this looks like once it is installed. You can see we have beautiful animation screens as it's booting up. We land over here on our screen. This is, I believe this is GDM. For our login manager, enter our super secret password. It's definitely not 123. And you can see that we have desktop and desktop on Xorg. So our default session is going to be Wayland with X as a backdrop. So now we land on the desktop for Zorin, and what I want to kind of show you here is just some basics here in the event that you want to consider using Zorin. It is one that I do like. I don't recommend it as much as Linux Mint because it is based on GNOME, and while this configuration does resemble Cinnamon in many ways, it feels like GNOME. It just doesn't. It's not as snappy, I think, as Cinnamon or XFCE or other desktops are. But overall, it is a good and a competent system. One of your advantages of Zorin is there is actually a panel that allows you to change the appearance. And if you do like a Windows appearance, you have this. You also have a Windows appearance where everything is out. So this would be more inclined to the one I would like the most. We also have more like a Mac type feel with this one here. See, your panel goes to the top, or and then we will have we should have a dock that shows up down on the bottom there. I think the dock will only show up if you're on this screen here, or you can go with this option here, which puts everything on the bottom. Now, there are more desktop layouts. If you do the Pro, you can do like a Windows 10 like one. You can do the Ubuntu like one. There is one that's much more like a Mac. So you can do other options as well. I'll go ahead and pick with this one here. Other options inside of this, you can choose your accent color. So you can really kind of make it your own there. You can choose a light theme, a dark theme, or you can choose one that goes based upon the timing. So either at the timing, the time zone, or by a schedule, you can do it. So sunset to sunrise uses your location data to choose when to make it light themed and when to make it dark themed. Manual means you can set the schedule. When is it light and when is it dark over there? So there's what we have there. Here's your basic application icon sets, things like that. Probably don't want to mess with those at this point in time. Over here, you can enable or disable effects. You can turn on like a jelly mode. I think that's going to give you like those wobblies. Woohoo! Look at that jelly, man. So jelly. You're jelly on my desktop, aren't you? All right, and then here's the desktop cube. This one, if you're switching workspaces, you should have the cube if you have everything set up right. I'm not going to investigate that. I am in a virtual box, so that might interfere a little bit. If you do like your desktop icons, you can turn those on right on over here if you want. And then you can change your icon sizes here as well. Really small up to I'm blind and can't see. We'll go ahead and keep that on standard. And here is your placement. Where do you want new windows to show up? So you can choose spread or centered. So how do new windows open up? Basically, there's just a lot of small tweaks that you can make inside of here. All right, so there is what we see inside of our Zorin appearance. The other great thing that we highlighted there is they have an archive of things. If you try and install, will recognize you're trying to install a Windows version. So I went ahead and downloaded a software package that I use frequently when I was back doing web development on Windows. I'd use, of course, FileZilla. So if I were to double click this, and you'll see this is an exe file, so it's a Windows executable. Oh, you just tried to install a Windows file. Well, we have a couple things. The first thing is we can actually install the Windows app support. So this is going to set up and configure Wine, which is not set up by default, but does easily set itself up. In fact, there is an application for that, the Windows app support. is a system that you can install it. This is from Zorin OS repository, and what this is going to do is install Wine and some other patches to make things workable. Now, if you really need Windows applications, you can use that option, but it's better, if possible, to use a Linux version. So FileZilla is a native Linux application as well. So it detects if you're trying to install like an exe file, and will give you this prompt here and say, oh, you can install from the repository instead. So we'll go ahead and enter our password there, and you can see it is downloading this. It's basically downloading this from the software repository. So it's installing everything there. So we will have the native Linux version of the application. So I think they have like 100 or so apps available there that we had that they had identified, and so that gives us the ability there to identify common Windows applications and redirect you to the Linux version of the application instead. So there is my FileZilla, and that will appear in the menu as well. So if we go on over here, and that should be under, I think it's under Internet, there is FileZilla, so we can boot it up. Now, you might have already noticed, and we talked about it in the introduction, this version uses Brave instead of Firefox, citing Firefox's, kind of move away from privacy and towards selling advertising and things. And so this becomes, I believe, the first distribution to pre-install Brave over any other browser. Now, they have modified it in all of the ways I love my Brave being modified. This is awesome. And so what they've done here with Brave, they've taken out, and I have not personally tweaked anything here. They took out the Brave tokens. They took out the BAT stuff. They took out the AI. It is all still available. You can still go into your settings inside of your system, and you can turn stuff back on if you are interested. So you can turn all that stuff on. It's just that they've went ahead and turned it all off to start. So you can get in here and do all those things, basically making Brave a much better version of the browser here than you find on many other places. Now, as far as installing software on Zorin, we're using the Gnome Software Center. I got to say, this caused me some problems when I first installed this to test it out last night, possibly because I am in an area with slow internet connection, but this thing took forever to actually populate. That's not a problem with Zorin. That's a problem with the Gnome Software Center. The Gnome Software Center, while it is compatible and installs very easily on every single distribution, it is a hot piece of garbage. I hate this thing. It's functional and it works. It supports Flatpaks. It's fine, but it is not generally a good experience, even if I'm in a place with good internet. Now, its advantages is it does sort things out. Now, of course, they did do this new sorting, create, work, play, develop, kind of nonsense categories. They used to be a whole lot more professional, Office and Suite. Like, I don't even know where to, I guess, work for Office suites, I guess. So they've basically made browsing a lot worse than it has been in the past. And you can see, you click in here and it's just kind of hanging like this. This is because I have a fairly slow internet connection, and there's something about the Gnome Software Center that just doesn't work well if it can't make instantaneous connections to the internet. Like, some of these people that build the software, they need to go and buy the cheapest garbage computers you can get at Walmart, and then go out and find internet in the country somewhere and try using some of their services for QA. We might actually have some improved software. But that, again, is not Zorin's issue. That is this particular software manager. The advantage about it is you can easily see the software repositories, and you can easily tweak a number of different settings inside of it. And so these are things that do make it a good software center, and why it is still highly used, even though it's not my favorite. You can turn on or turn off automatic updates. You can do update notifications. And you can set it to only show free apps. Now, this is not free as in paid apps. This is free as in open source software that everybody can see the source code. So you can toggle your systems such like that. As far as the software sources that Zorin gets us, how does this differentiate itself from other distributions? Well, we do actually have some other software packages. So these are actually all the repositories. And you'll see that over here, packages, Zorin, Jammy, these are going to be the Ubuntu repository packages that are tied into Ubuntu with possibly some slight tweaks. But then you'll see down here they have some Zorin patches. These ones actually patch some of the things. They will make some changes and some tweaks to what Ubuntu is actually doing. And the other thing that they will have inside of these Zorin ones is they will have their own software as well. Things like that, the Zorin Windows compatibility layer, the appearances, all those are things that come from Zorin's system. So here you can set your updates. You can subscribe to all, just security, or security only. And then you can check automatically daily all the way down to never. You can download and install automatically. You can display automatically, or you can download automatically. So tell me there's an update, or download the update and wait for me to install it, or download and install it automatically. I don't like that everything by default is automatic. I personally I'm not a huge fan of that, but it is very easy to toggle those around if you are so inclined to do so. When there are other updates, display weekly, display immediately, or display every other week. So there is what we have. And then there is a driver search tool that we'll see if there's anything proprietary on our system. So there's installing your software inside of there. And let me see the other options that we have. There's the only other app in here is Zorin Connect. This allows you to download an application onto your mobile phone, and then it allows you to sync your notifications and basic control features between your phone and your computer. So if I'm here working in my office and, I have my cell phone here, I can turn on Zorin Connect. And now if somebody sends me a text message, I can actually reply to the text right here from my desktop instead of picking up the phone and doing it over there. It also allows me to share files between the phone and the computer. And you can see browse photos, share files, and use the phone as a remote control for the computer. So there's a number of different things that Zorin Connect will allow you to do. Once you turn that on, you'd have to go over and grab the application. You can get it on F-Droid or on the Google Play Store. And then you turn on the app and then set your phone, and then they're going to search and connect here. So I'm not actually going to set it up right now, just letting you know what you can do with it. So these are some of the reasons why you might hear people recommending Zorin quite a bit. It is a very, very good Linux distribution for first-time users. It does have the flexibility of a couple different layouts. The Pro version gives you a Windows 11 layout, a Mac layout, basically all the stuff that you might want. They also have some extra software in it. It's all software you can get otherwise. I believe it all is all anyway. But it doesn't actually have a lot of the hassle of going and finding it all. As far as system resources, you can see here it's not using a whole lot of CPU power. It's running 1.8 gigs of memory. I've given this VM 8 gigs there. So you can see it's actually working well just fine. So overall, the system works pretty good. So no major complaints against it. So if you are looking to switch out of Windows, looking for something, this could be a good logical choice. And I do love it is the first Linux distribution we are seeing to finally take a stand and say, all right, Firefox, you have gone far enough. We are looking at other options. Now, they did consider a few other options, but they did ultimately go with Brave. Because it does appear to be the more privacy-respecting browser over Firefox right now. So there is your basic rundown of Zorin. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave us a like and a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. And I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.